So last week at Gamescom, the folks over at Undead Labs unveiled the gameplay for their new piece of DLC, Daybreak, a wave-based horde mode where players take on the role of a Red Talon operative who must protect a technician who is working to restore a data link to the Clio network. The mode adds a few new things to the game: new weapons, a new character to add to our community, new and improved enemies, and also what Undead Labs is classing as a new map. And sure, it technically takes place on a new map, but I think the suggestion, or at least the impression the community got, was that this would add a full map, not just a small, playable area. The community response to the reveal of the DLC, in my opinion, has been incredibly polarizing, not only on Reddit, but on the Undead Labs Discord, and even here in my own YouTube comments on the video where I showcased the new DLC. Today, what I want to do is go through one comment in particular that I think really sums up the frustrations of the parts of the community that don't want Daybreak and were incredibly disappointed by it. And I equally just want to share kind of my own position on all of this too, and my thoughts on what Undead Labs are really doing at the moment. So this comment came from Jolly Fokar, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but it was pretty in-depth and I thought it really encapsulated the frustrations of the community very well. They started off by saying this: "Pretty much just confirms that Daybreak will be as absolutely but useless as Independence Day. Immersion breaking zombies and gimmicks that don't fit. Daybreak will add little to nothing to the base game. Doesn't extend or expand the base game, it doesn't add difficulty options to the base game, and really adds nothing anybody really wants. An alternate gameplay mode that has very little in common with the base game, and that will appeal to very few people who love State of Decay 2 for what it is." So Undead Labs have actually mentioned on their patch 3.0 stream a few weeks back with Brant Fitzgerald that they're aware of the backlash in the community to the Independence Pack. If you don't know, a lot of players were really annoyed at the content pack because it added what they saw to be gimmicks that would be more suited in a more lighthearted game like Dead Rising, as opposed to State of Decay, which bills itself as more of a survival title. Now, the reason Jeffrey was talking about it on the stream was because they'll soon be toning back the amount of revolutionary zombies that spawn in the game, mainly just because it's not the 4th of July anymore, and the zombies will now share a similar rarity to the clown zombies that you can encounter. So let me kind of give my thoughts on this. Now, the main thing that I liked about the Independence Pack, out of all the content that it added, were those zombies. The cars are okay, but they don't really add anything that the vehicles that already are in the game don't have. Sure, they have flamethrowers on them and they shoot fireworks, but those features, in my experience, don't actually do damage at speed. You have to be going at a snail's pace in order for them to work, and even at that, I've seen them not work whenever you're trying to attack juggernauts and other special zombies. The weapons as well are a nice idea, but again, for me personally, I don't use them in-game as I don't really find them practical. But I see the Independence Pack for what it is. It's meant to be a bit more of a loopy, carefree pack. It's about the 4th of July after all. Although, now that I think on it, a survivor wearing reenactment gear and maybe a musket as a firearm would have been way cooler and probably wouldn't have received the same backlash from those members of the community who did feel like the Independence Pack was lore or immersion breaking. But I'm not going to throw Undead Labs under the bus for that one pack. I think the problem I have with the content packs is that there have been so few of them. State of Decay 2 has been out since May, and we've had one content pack in 3 months. For me, I just felt like we might have had more, especially when on the run-up to the release, we were told that there would be regular content packs. I don't really feel like one content pack every 3 months is really classed as regular. I never expected these content packs to be massive, don't get me wrong. I kind of thought if they released monthly or something like that, we'd maybe get one firearm and a new survivor skin, then the next one would have a vehicle or two and so on, but so far all we've had is the Independence Day pack. The next one I'd assume would be Halloween or Christmas, but I'm worried that because the Independence pack was criticised, we may not see another pack for quite some time, and that just worsens the whole situation. What Jolly is saying in his opening paragraph is what a lot of the community have been asking for: adding a scaling difficulty and add something that will extend the shelf life of the main game. So when Daybreak was revealed to be a horde mode, you can understand why players who have been asking for shelf life improvements would be a bit let down, even if we have known that Daybreak would be a horde mode for quite a while now. One thing I will say in the developer's defense is that Daybreak was what it is way before the game's release. I think players who are frustrated feel like the game came out, Undead Labs started working on Daybreak, and then are releasing it without listening to the frustrations players have had. That's not the case. Daybreak was announced before the game shipped, and in theory the dev team, which remember is quite small, have likely been pouring their manpower into bug fixing and completing Daybreak before they can even think about working on adding difficulty sliders, etc., if they even do add them, that is. But Jolly goes on to say this: "It's actually somewhat sad that a tuber, or a YouTuber, I think is what he means, like this is showing this steaming pile in a positive light. As a gamer in general, this kind of thing may have some appeal, but there's nothing remarkable about it that you can't find in other games." And true, you can find horde modes in other games. I don't think Undead Labs are billing Daybreak as groundbreaking, but it's new for State of Decay if you ignore the horde mechanic in Lifeline. As for me not shitting on the game, I have. I actually complained about Daybreak a lot before I saw the gameplay, whether it be on streams or in other videos. Is Daybreak what I would like to see in State of Decay 2? No, not at all. I'd prefer something that adds more meat to the story like a lot of you, but I can see myself getting a few more hours of enjoyment out of Daybreak. I can see myself playing it with all of you, and part of me hopes that now it's done, the team can actually work on new content packs and other gameplay additions. But would I pay for the Daybreak DLC if I wasn't already getting it in the Ultimate Edition? No, I wouldn't. The fact is, I'm not going to sit here and shit all over it. And I'm not going to shit all over Undead Labs because it's not the kind of creator that I am. Sure, I have issues with the game, but I'd rather voice them constructively rather than just spew toxic criticism. But I want to finish off this whole thing with something that I do agree with Jolly on, and which I find the most frustrating out of all of this. If you visit Reddit, the only useful community for this game, since on top of producing bugs and useless DLC, Undead Labs also only communicates like savages through Twitch streams or chat, Twitter, and Discord. You'd see what people really want for State of Decay 2, and Daybreak is not it, not even close, never been considered. As for Reddit being the only useful community, I think that's really a meme unto itself, but to a degree I do agree with what he's saying about Undead Labs' communication. I've been playing State of Decay since the first game released. I've been covering it here on the channel since before the second game released, and I'm a big fan of the game, but when I tune into an Undead Labs stream, it feels like I'm an outsider sometimes. So I live in the UK, and I work really long and unsociable hours, and I can't always tune in to every Undead Labs stream. Equally, I can't always be in the Undead Labs Discord chatting away because I also have my own community to run and other communities I'm involved in. But there's just a feeling that unless you can do that, unless you're always there, you aren't seen by the devs. I feel like a real asshole saying this because the dev team genuinely seem like a lovely bunch of people, but if I feel like that, then so do others. And when combined with the fact that the dev team don't seem to be active on the game's subreddit, it feeds into this idea that they aren't listening unless you're in their inner circle of fans. One thing that really struck me right in the feels was when I was on the Discord the other day and two people were talking about this, and one of them was asking why the devs didn't seem to talk much in the Discord or post on the subreddit. And the other person replied that they didn't talk to the community in case what they said was used against them by the community. Now, whether or not that's true almost doesn't matter. If your community thinks that you don't want to talk to them out of fear they'll turn what you say back on you, it's not a healthy relationship. And for me, I think that's what it all boils down to. I don't think the real issue here is a Daybreak DLC. I think the real issue here is that there's a feeling in the community that they aren't being listened to and they aren't being communicated with on a personal level. Yes, interacting on stream is cool and all, but you've got to understand you've got a game with 3 million players. They don't all live in your time zone, but you can be assured that they all have a voice and they want to feel like you care and are giving a space to hear what they have to say. I think the community equally needs to keep in mind the devs are human. They're making decisions with the data they have, and they believe they're making the game we want to play. If you're not happy about something, don't just verbally attack them. They're going to be way more likely to take on board what you have to say if you're constructive and don't sound like an absolute asswipe. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you all think on today's rant, and hopefully the devs won't be too pissed off that I made this if they actually do end up watching it. Please keep the discussion in the comments civil, and if you want to be kept up to date with my next State of Decay video, hit the subscribe button down below. But until next time, folks, have a great week, and I'll speak to you all soon.